So, it is time for the return of Tyrion Cuthbert, attorney of some weird frickin' people. So, yeah, I've been looking forward to this all week because last Sunday we had a crazy-ass stream. And hopefully everyone caught up with that because we're going to be going into what I assume is the middle of trial, well, the middle of case 4. And, well, lots of stuff went down, more than I am going to be able to cover. There's a lot of questions that need to be answered. I will say this, though. When I started the second stream for the third case, I mentioned that I had started uploading these episodes to the YouTube channel, and I said that I had not yet edited and chopped up and uploaded the first half of case 3 because I wanted to run on memory alone. I did not do that this time. I actually chopped up the first half of this trial pretty much right off the bat because I had some spare time and I wanted to get out of the way. And as a result of doing so, I noticed some things. And I'm not going to get into all the things because I want people to rewatch stuff and see all the references and foreshadowing and whatever. But I noticed a couple things. I did notice that Beatrice had an interesting reaction to Arya, where she talked about, "Oh, I'm surprised you're here. I thought you would recuse yourself." And she had an odd reaction when Steelwind fell over, just due to her injuries in the courtroom. I don't think Beatrice was surprised Arya was there because she thought she would recuse herself for professional reasons. I think Beatrice was surprised Arya was there because she knew that Arya got beat the hell up. And probably had something to do with that beating the hell up, either ordering it or being aware of it. I don't think Ruby knew about it. I think her reaction was sincere. But Beatrice was just like, wow, she got cut up and she's still here. That's crazy. But I think Beatrice, well, we know Beatrice is a bad guy because of her thoughts, but to the extent to which she is quite the bad guy. And also, she may have done that not just for the reasons of the trial, not just to get rid of the prosecution, but I wouldn't be surprised if that was for personal reasons. Just taking pleasure in the fact that she beat the crap out of her ex-fiance's new squeeze. There's no way that wasn't a factor. There's also a few other things that kind of cropped up in my mind, but I will say one thing, and this is something that really kind of popped up and stood out to me. Because the whole idea of the familiars and stuff came up a bit, and we wondered who the wolf was a familiar of, and whether the monkey did things, but I realized there's a third animal that flew under the radar that I would not have remembered very easily if I hadn't gone back and edited the episodes. It's the rats. There were rats in the ductwork, which is how our boy Jan found himself in the storage room. He chased one there and trapped it. I have a feeling, I have a hunch, I have a suspicion that that rat actually might be Beatrice's familiar. And it might explain why she's able to see, because the familiar rules clearly state that you can see through the eyes of your familiar. So she's still blind, completely. But she's able to see when her familiar is around. So maybe her familiar is trapped in Jan's trap right now, and that's going to be the evidence that we pull out of the bag 4 hours from now to dramatically reveal that we have proof that she's, responsible or whatever. It could be something entirely different. I have no idea. And even with that, we still don't know who the actual killer was because, see, this is the brilliance of this case. Sometimes you'll have cases, and this has happened once or twice in Ace Attorney, where the defendant is guilty. And you have to defend a client that you know is guilty. But with the setup in this case, we're defending a client who's guilty, and we still don't know who the murderer is. Which is kind of clever, because Beatrice wasn't the actual murderer, she was an accomplice. Which means we're in the position of knowing our client is guilty, but still not knowing who's guilty. So I think that was big brain of the developers and writers there. That was like, oh, that's actually kind of sweet. So yeah, there's a lot of moving parts still. We still don't know why the handle of the murder weapon was shattered. We still don't know why so much force was employed to break the wards surrounding the sword of spell eating We don't know why the bands of intellect were stolen, although now I suspect I was joking that the monkey had them. Maybe the monkey does, but the rat might be wearing those bands too. That rat might be sporting a fancy collar. But I also noticed that when we were talking about the theft of the bands and he noticed they were replaced by replicas, we don't actually know when the bands were stolen. Those bands could have been stolen a week ago. We have no idea. So anyway, I've done speculating. Hopefully anybody hearing me say this either live or later on, watch the first trial, the first half, or you're going to have no idea what the hell I'm talking about right now. But in the meantime, like I might have said, I have been kind of looking forward to this all week. I want to see where this is going, so let us not wait. Another moment. I'm gonna have a little coffee. I did just have something to eat, because I'm going to be talking for the next 4 hours, so strap in. Strap in me, strap in my, my poor sore throat. My throat's not actually sore. Yeah, also we're over here, and this is kind of cute. And honestly, here's a crazy idea. Who are we playing as right now? Are we playing as Tyrion or are we playing as Ruby? Because the game could go either way right now. But I am suspecting that Ruby might actually have been the murderer. The more I think about it, the more it makes sense. I actually wonder if Ruby's been looking for an opportunity to set something like this up, which is why we had a meeting with Celeste's dad at the beginning of the game. Maybe she's been looking for allies to pull some hijinks and shenanigans, and she just happened to come across Beatrice, or was introduced to Beatrice through Eris and the Eye Taker. This might be a Ruby Beatrice thing. This might be a Ruby Eris Beatrice thing. There could be 3 people involved. But I am leaning toward Ruby being the murderer, because I think that would be the spiciest outcome possible. Your Honor, the defense, I mean the prosecution, I mean me, this guy here, Slimy McSlammersons. I would like the right to cross-examine this witness. Wait, do I have that right? I'm not sure if I have that right. Do prosecutors get to do that? Can I do it? I would like permission to do it. The judge is like, wait a minute. What's going on here? Why is my court a zoo right now? Oh! Well, that didn't last long. Bailiff, please arrest Mr. Cuthbert. I'm holding him in contempt of court. I'm not sure who's going to stand up for that not happening. Ruby's going to be like, okay. Beatrice is going to be like, okay. No one else is going to care. Are we just gone? How does this not happen? Yeah, wait, oh, crap. I didn't really think this through, did I? Oh! That's right, Arya whispered something to Nightgrave, or gave him a note or something before she got wheeled off. And Wallace, I think, whispered it to the bailiff as well. Are we playing telephone right now? What's the message? What's going on? Instead of following the judge's orders, the bailiff walks over to the judge's podium and whispers something into his ear. What? Nani? I see. Very well then. Okay, so how did Steelwind preemptively do this? Did she just kind of know Tyrion will jump in? That was awfully, that was awfully big assumption on her part. What are they saying? It appears that Miss Steelwind has somehow predicted that this would happen. Wow. Steelwind I made fun of you guys for saying that you called it because you didn't call it. Apparently Steelwind did call it. That seems awfully plot convenient, but, all right. I'll let it slide, I guess. In accordance with her wishes, Mr. Cuthbert may act as the prosecutor in her stead. Wait, what? How did she know that? Steelwind's got some splaining to do in a lot of different ways. Not just this, but also the, getting sliced up. What the hell? You can't be serious. I am honestly just as surprised as you are, Miss Tamora. But Miss Steelwind has apparently designated him as her stand-in. It's unorthodox, but it's also legal, is it? You were ready to have me carted off 2 seconds ago. I remember. Oh! Oh, is this going to be something we didn't know about, or is this going to be the hypothetical about what if your client is guilty? We recall something strange Steelwind asked us earlier today. Yeah, so what would you do if your client was guilty? Yes, this was very clearly foreshadowing as we ended last stream. I suppose I'd withdraw and tell them to find another lawyer. And if no one else would represent them, I don't know. It would definitely be a hard choice for me. Was this one of your choices? But I would never be able to represent them if I knew the truth. I just can't stand by and let a murderer escape justice. Oh, this is the line. This is the line she latched onto. Is just like, well, I see. Steelwind, did she somehow know this would happen? Well, at that point, I think she had already been assaulted, because Wallace was already following her around. So it's entirely possible that she would have known that she would not have been able to keep up the appearances or keep up her position. She was just, her health, she just didn't have the stamina to stay on her feet, even with Wallace there, casting Renew constantly. So she was just like, okay, well, Hail Mary, get this guy up here and hope for the best. Ah, well, you're here too. Well, this isn't how I expected the trial to go. No, Psy'Min didn't expect it either. Shortly after we barged onto the prosecutor's table, Celeste awkwardly follows behind us. Curiously, she only did so after the bailiff didn't arrest us. Yeah, hey, Celeste, what's up with that? I guess we're really doing this. What's wrong? Uh-oh, what is wrong? This feels weird. We're on the other side of the court. I know, it's been mirrored. Isn't it weird? It's the same assets, literally just mirrored. I know, I've looked at the texture. I mean, this is where the prosecutor is supposed to stand. No, this feels way too jarring. Ruby, can we switch tables? Why? Who cares? Just stand there. What? Please ignore her. No, this is way too weird. Tyrion, get her to switch with us. Scaled, Lord Celeste. For the love of... I genuinely do not care. Cuthbert can have this side if he wants it so badly. Okay, so we're going to be playing as Tyrion. He does realize that representing someone doesn't necessarily mean getting them off of all charges. True, true. But, you know, he's putting his conscience before professionalism, and I guess that's just, you know, how he'd be doing. Cuthbert can have this side if he wants it so badly. I don't, okay? This is Celeste's thing, not mine. Well, with that out of the way, let's resume proceedings. Yeah, good guys stand on the left, Ruby. Assuming that we're all at our preferred spots. Hey, can we swap with the judge? Judge, you can come up here. You can come down to our table. I'll sit up there. You can stay with Celeste. And Ruby can get on the witness stand, because I still think she's a murderer. We are, Your Honor. See? Exact same texture. Even got that little dark line above his head with a little mark in the wood. As much as we hate to admit it, we are more comfortable here. Not that we want to encourage her. Celeste, you weirdo. Still prefer her over Eris. Well, with all of these interruptions, I think it's best to review the proceedings up until now. Yeah, let's do that. New stream, new summary. The prosecution proposed that Beatrice Frega's motive for the murder was to claim the victim's inheritance, which we do actually know better. Actually, no, the defense knows better, but we know better than them knowing better. However, the defense brought forth a witness who testified that Beatrice was disinherited by her father 5 years ago. Not true. Am I correct, Miss Tamora? You are, Your Honor. Very well. Considering the circumstances, I think it's best to have Lady Frega repeat her testimony. Bailiff, please escort Lady Frega to the stand once more. This is Miriam, right? Because she was testifying, yeah. Hey, cutie. Slightly less annoying than she was in case 2. Miss Frega, could you please give your testimony to the court once more, so that I may smack you with it? Of course. God, it's this guy again, motherfucker. One day, we all woke up and discovered that Beatrice had fled from her home. Yeah, I don't think we actually got a chance to address this. Steelwind just kind of keeled over, and that was it. She left a note for us, and in it she renounced her name and denounced my father. My father later called me and my sister into his study. He told us that he'd completely disowned Beatrice and removed any claim she had to the Frega estate. It was probably a threat to us in case we ever chose to go down the same path she did. He wanted to make an example out of her. This all happened 5 years ago. It did not. So your father disinherited Beatrice shortly after her departure. You know what else would be good? To review the crap we have. So here's all our peoples. I guess they all fit on one screen. I called that Loth was the murderer for fun at the beginning, because that's just how we be doing as well. She's not off the table. I was saying before that it could have been Beatrice, Ruby, and Eris. It could have been Beatrice, Ruby, and Loth. honestly. So this could go a few different ways, but so far I'm leaning Ruby now. This guy is just walking around like case 3 didn't happen, but he didn't have anything to do with this. He's just kind of giving us some intel on the politics. Yawn, I think you've got some rats caught. I don't know what your deal is. You're just kind of here. I have a feeling you're going to be important in case 5. Monkey Boy, he's kind of fun. Harold Haroldson, call him Harold. Even if you do call him Harold, he'll correct you and tell you to call him Harold. Why is his age a mystery? No one else's age is a mystery. You know, it's kind of funny. During last stream, I think it was Za who actually speculated that this guy was in the painting, and then he may be a lot older than we think. I don't think it's him in the painting. I think the person that he was pointing at was actually a woman. It was the bartender. Her arms were full of beer or whatever, just because it had a monkey on her back. But the fact that his age is unlisted is curious. I wonder if he is a lot older than we think he is, and if so, then why? That's curious. You are just you. You are just you. Everyone else is, yep, here's you, jump scare girl. Man, the Frega girls are kind of hot, not gonna lie. No wonder everyone wants to marry him. Anti-magic field, yada yada. Familial bond. This is the spell du jour, where it specifically says, the caster can also choose to see through the target's eyes as long as they concentrate. So there's a bit of a stipulation to that sight bit. The bond can also only be broken in death, which is something I thought about as... Why is my cursor showing? Hang on. Get rid of that nonsense. All right. Let's see. So I wonder how that factors in with the rats, because if Beatrice is using rats as familials, those don't exactly have the longest lifespan, and I wonder how that might be a strategic idea. The bands, stolen, blah, blah, blah. Haroldson's security, yada, yada. Here's, no, that's just what he heard. What he witnessed with his ears. Rats in the vents. This is what I was talking about before. The servants have been frequently complaining about the sound of rats running through the vents. Jan tried to track one of them down and followed it into the storeroom. I wonder if this is something that Beatrice has been doing reconnaissance in the house to plan this stuff before she made her move. And the rats running through the vents is just Beatrice scoping everything out before she actually confronted her father. That would be kind of interesting. Or someone else doing it. Maybe Eris was doing it for her. You know, they could be Eris's familiars. The swords being stolen as well is kind of weird. Why was Celeste's sword stolen along with the other one? Yeah. I have a feeling we're going to call this thing up. This is going to be relevant either immediately or very soon. Refused to speak. The only person he spoke to was Loth. Through Loth's thoughts, we know that he entered his study to make some sort of adjustment to his will. Now, this is not really evidence because we can't present things we see with our magic eyeballs as proof, although I still think it's very sussy that Ruby knows about our magic eyeballs. Is she going to call us out? Is she going to try to expose us to win the case? Is she going to backstab us? Kind of like we're backstabbing her, but, you know, ignore that. So your father disinherited Beatrice shortly after her departure. Yes, he did. Sad and upset or surprised or fear or whatever the hell that fourth icon is. Dual Destiny still got me messed up. Yeah. Do you know? I mean, if it is a lie, then you know. As such, Beatrice would have no motive to murder her father. Any inheritance she could have received would be long gone by the night of the murder. Is that really true, though? It is not. All right, press all the goodies. One day, we all woke up and discovered that Beatrice had fled from our home. That must have been a surprise for all of you. You notice how Cuthbert is nice and polite and doesn't shout, "Hold it," on every single statement? See, he could have a normal conversation without screaming, unlike Phoenix. That must have been a surprise for all of you. Did she tell anyone else about her plan? No, she didn't. She left without a word to anyone. She should have spoken with us first. Okay, so honesty. It appears that she's sincere about what she's saying. That time, she left a note for us, and in it she renounced her name and denounced my father. From what I've heard about your father, I don't find that surprising. That's... Okay, let's not speak too ill of the dad here. That's... It's clear to everyone involved that my client was not treated well by her father. That's what drove her to sacrifice her claim to the Frege estate. My father had many responsibilities. He had much to consider. And that justified his treatment of your sister? Despite being her witness, Miss Tamora really isn't holding back against Miriam. Well, I mean, she is on the other side of the aisle now. My father later called me and my sister into his study. He told us that he'd completely disowned Beatrice and removed any claim she had to the Frege estate. Are we going to have to call Laugh up here and try to confirm this? That seems like a drastic reaction to her simply leaving her home. My father and sister already had many disagreements before this. He had made it clear that he wouldn't tolerate her many acts of insubordination. I imagine that this was the last straw for him. While that sounded in character for him, would William Frege really do something so extreme? I feel like he would have. His views were made clear last stream. Regardless of his personal feelings, House Frege holds a lot of financial and political power. Hey, he's got 2 other daughters. Would he really change his inheritance so haphazardly? It was probably a threat to us in case we ever chose to go down the same path she did. He wanted to make an example out of her. That must have been difficult for you and Laugh. It was. My father wanted everything to be his way, and anyone who didn't comply was punished. That's a terrible way to treat anyone, much less his own family. No comment. This all happened 5 years ago. Did it now? If there's a statement we're going to be presenting on, it's going to be this one. If this happened shortly after Beatrice fled, you must have been less than 13 years old at the time. I can't imagine how that must have been. But can we really trust your testimony if you were only a child at the time? I remember it vividly. My father's words, the look on Laugh's face when she realized Beatrice was gone. I even remember the way the sun was shining through the window that morning. It was all my fault. That's an interesting thought to have, considering the context. What was all your fault? I remember that moment with clarity. My father made sure of that. It sounds like a painful memory for her, and she seems to falsely blame herself for what happened. Oh, so we're just going to let that slide. It'd be best not to press her more than necessary. No, we press. That's what we do. We felt it while you watched from the gallery. A part of her testimony doesn't match with what we learned from our investigation. It must have been something that Loft told... Oh, it was! I already mentioned it to the stream. So do I just slap on this? Because we already know we don't lose health for wrong answers, so we might as well just go, right? Again, this isn't evidence. We can't submit Magic Eyeball witness thing as proof of anything, but I don't think anything else is relevant.
Objection!
What? Really? It's clear this witness's testimony is contradictory. Whoops, I guess you're right. Phoenix smile. Wait a minute, what? Yeah, it was something that Loft told us. Did I press the wrong part of the statement? One day we all woke up, discovered, blah, blah, blah. Yes, yada, yada. Okay. Okay, it must be this statement. I really feel like I should be able to present this on either or, but if it goes through on this one...
Objection!
No! What? Wait a minute. What the dicks? I don't understand. Okay, hang on. Let's go down the list here. Earrings of Vitality. Not relevant. Beatrice is blind, not relevant. Oh yeah, body shows several scratch marks on the face and back. I was wondering where this was, because I don't remember if I mentioned this when I was recapping at the beginning of the stream, but this also, I wonder if this is the rat. I wonder if the reason the scratch marks are here is because of the rat clawing at him. Of course, that's not... The rat didn't do the murder. The rat didn't hold the letter opener so hard that it shattered and slash his throat, but, I don't know. Maybe it had a strength spell on it. Magic be wild like that. Not relevant. Lockdown system, not relevant. Maps, not relevant. Method of entry, who gives a damn? Not relevant. Not relevant. Not relevant. So William Frege declared that he would be disinheriting her that night? Is this bonus info that we got from Loth after we argued with her? Maybe that's what it wants. Okay, what statement are we on? Or this all happened 5 years ago. Okay, let's try presenting this on both.
Objection!
That's what you wanted. Okay. What just fell over? Oh. My controller. I guess that represents more concrete evidence than the other one. So I guess the other one is magic eyeballs, but this one is one we actually managed to get out of Loth after the argument section. Miss Frege, it's clear that you're regretful of how your elder sister was treated. That guilt must have eaten at you for all these years. Cuthbert, I know you don't have a good history with the witness. No, we don't. But you shouldn't rub salt in her wounds. Shut up, Ruby. I was merely pointing out the witness's personal connection to the defendant, Miss Tamora. She clearly regrets not standing up for her sister all those years ago. Okay, we're just going to comment on the thing we saw through the eyes. So perhaps she's trying to make up for that by lying to protect her. Excuse me? I did nothing of the sort. Miss Frege, you testified that your father disinherited Beatrice 5 years ago. Man, we learned from case 2 that Beatrice has a terrible sense of time, thinking that morning is afternoon and losing track of hours or whatever. Man, she lost track of a whole 5 years. Look at this. Jeez. You testified that your father disinherited Beatrice 5 years ago. However, I have testimony from another witness who spoke with the victim on the night of the murder. How do you lose 5 years, woman? After Beatrice's meeting with William Frege, he openly declared that he would be removing her from his will. He even entered his study to draft a new will to reflect that decision. So that raises the following question. Why would the victim need to declare that he was disinheriting the defendant? It doesn't make sense if he had already disinherited her 5 years ago. Is that so? Well, who did you hear this from? Who do you think? It's clear that they had no understanding of my father's estate. They had no understanding? Miriam, this testimony came directly from your sister, Loth Frege. Is Miriam going to have a surprise sprite we haven't seen yet? Oh no, I think we have seen that once or twice. I can't remember. Well, what? And she should have also been present during this alleged meeting 5 years ago. Well, she must be mistaken. No. You're the one who loses track of time. 5 years is still impressive, but this is on you.
Objection.
Oh yeah? What do you got? Oh. Who isn't here? Are we going to call her up? Or again, is she going to be in cahoots with you guys and you know she's halfway across the country or something? Your Honor, how can we trust secondhand testimony from a witness who isn't here? Wouldn't it make much more sense to have Loth give her testimony directly? Oh, okay, never mind. Also, why are you smiling about that? Is this your accomplice again and you're like, yeah, let's put Loth on the stand and fuck with Cuthbert? I must agree with you, Miss Tamora. Loth Frege should be allowed to clear up this misunderstanding. She looks way too exactly, she does look way too She got her smug sprite. What is she planning? We're not sure if it's intentional, but Miriam's testimony was false. Could she be lying to protect Beatrice? And if so, is Miss Tamora expecting Loth to do the same? Bailiff, please escort Loth Frege to the stand. You do not look like a member of the family. You look like you belong in a forest playing with some deer. Miss Frege, when we spoke earlier, you mentioned that your father decided to disinherit Beatrice. And he decided this after their meeting on the night of the murder. Is that correct? Who's testifying here, you or her? Yes, I did say that. Uh-oh. You see, Loth, Cuthbert doubts the testimony given by your younger sister. He seems to think that she's committed perjury. Well, what? Stop leading the witness. You shut your mouth, Ruby. I wouldn't go so far as to say, no, now Ruby's gonna run all over us. She ran all over Steelwind during the first trial. Now Ruby's like, I don't care if you're my protege. The claws are out. Kid gloves off. Get fucked. Witness, lying under oath is a serious crime. It would have harsh consequences, even for someone of your sister's status. Oh, you... Oh, this leading. Judge, step in. No, she couldn't have... Wonderful. Are you saying that you can corroborate your sister's testimony? Wait a minute. I have objections. I object. Cuthbert, open your damn mouth. Miss Tamora, you can't just intimidate the witness. I have no idea what you're talking about, Cuthbert. This woman is a lawyer. God. I'm just telling the witness what may or may not happen, depending on what she does next. God. The choice is ultimately hers. Man, remember how I said last time how lawyers get a terrible reputation? So, Loth, assuming Miriam wasn't lying under oath, could you please testify to the court? Could please testify to the court to confirm what your sister said. Okay, never mind. She sucks at being a lawyer. She doesn't even know basic grammar. Yes, of course. All right, now you're gonna lie, and we're gonna call you out. And we're gonna call you out because of what we saw with our magic eyeballs. So Ruby's gonna be like, "Oh, magic eyeballs. Want to talk about that now?" You see, Miriam was quite young when my father called us into his study 5 years ago. She didn't understand what he was really doing. My father would often lie to us. It was one of the many ways that he kept us in line. This guy was such a prick. The encounter that Miriam described was just another one of his lies. Despite their disagreements, my father would never disinherit Beatrice without a good reason. He always held on to the possibility that she would become desperate enough to return home. Wait a minute, I like this testimony. She's not lying. She's actually, all right. She's defending Miriam, but at the same time also corroborating what we said. The truth is that none of us knew what my father was planning for House Frega's future. It is more complicated, yes. No one could have really known what William Frege was planning for his estate. Loth is definitely trying to cover for Miriam, and Miss Tamora is playing her like a fiddle. Luckily for us, she's not the only person that gave her statement to... She's not the only person that gave her statement to us? Are we gonna draw on, Lloyd? Lady Frege was due to be married. This arranged marriage was facilitated, blah, blah, blah. Household sanctions would be absorbed. Loth knew how the marriage would affect the future of House Frege. Expressed resistance, stalling for time. So, does this imply that Loth knows more about the will than she might be letting on? That things maybe weren't that complicated, or at least not outside of her awareness. You see, Miriam was quite young when my father called us into his study 5 years ago. She didn't understand what he was really doing. So you're saying that Miriam's testimony was based on a misunderstanding? Yes, my father was never direct with his actions. He always knew just what to say to plant seeds of doubt into people's minds. That is a talent, but you shouldn't be using it for evil. My father would often lie to us. It was one of the many ways that he kept us in line. William was one of those bad NLPers. I'm aware of how it sounds, but he had much to consider outside of his family. The Freges are one of the pillars of Womenguard, after all. Keeping the family aligned with our house's goals was one of his responsibilities. Yeah, which you're mad about because you were getting married off. You were not as happy with your arranged marriage as Steelwind apparently was. It's clear she doesn't agree with what she's saying, or that. Is she in denial, or is she trying to keep the family name clean? Well, I mean, if things go according to plan, you're going to be the head of the household, right? The encounter that Miriam described was just another one of his lies. So you really think that your father would lie about something so important? It was of great importance. That's why he had to lie. He wanted to make Miriam understand the consequences of disobeying him. What kind of father does that? But if he truly wanted to scare Miriam, why wouldn't he disinherit Beatrice? Good question. Despite their disagreements, my father would never disinherit Beatrice without a good reason. He always held on to the possibility that she would become desperate enough to return home. Well, never mind. Question answered. Even after she renounced her name and denounced him, my father was always more pragmatic than vengeful. I imagine that he expected her to fail on her own, and if she ever came back, she would be forced to rely on him. If he could make someone like Beatrice feel powerless, he could get the rest of us to fall into line. Looking back, I suppose that's all we ever were to him. Assets to be appraised and traded. We hear a bit of resentment in her voice. Yeah, no doubt. The truth is that none of us knew what my father was planning for House Frega's future. Okay, that's the bald-faced lie based on what we know from Lloyd. If that was true, why would he tell you that he was disinheriting Beatrice? Perhaps it was a warning. I have had my own share of disagreements with him after all. Even now, I have no way of knowing if he was telling me the truth or not. That would depend on what Miss Tamora and Beatrice discussed with Lord Frega. And right now, we still have no idea what they even talked about. Did William Frega really lie to them? From what we've heard, I honestly wouldn't put it past him. Yep, me neither. He clearly had very little respect for his daughters. But there were other people that he did respect. Right. Was there anyone else he would have told the truth to? Yeah. What was Lloyd's source on this? Well, I guess Lloyd's source would have been the fact that he arranged a marriage with William. Da-dun. Yeah, I mean this marriage had been arranged for a while, so Lloyd's neck deep in the politics of it because it's his son. So maybe we throw this out?
Objection!
Yeah, we do. Hey, remember that murdering asshole from last case? I'm gonna pretend that he's reliable now and use his testimony as evidence to prove my point. Miss Frega, did you really have no idea about House Frega's future? No, I didn't. My father made sure of that. As I told you, he kept many secrets and wasn't above lying to manipulate us. But with Beatrice gone, you would have been the one to inherit your father's estate. Would you really be ignorant of your father's plans for House Frega? Unfortunately for you, I don't think you'd be that careless. In fact, I have it on good authority that you know exactly how William's inheritance would be divided before that night. What? Loth, according to Lloyd von Sanctus, you were arranged into a diplomatic marriage with his son. You expressed resistance to this arrangement, am I correct? I have no reason to comment on that matter. You keep my personal life out of this, you son of a bitch. Cuthbert, the witness's personal matters are hardly any of our business. Yes, I must ask that you keep this discussion relevant to the case. Your Honor, Loth's resistance to this marriage is exactly how I know that her testimony is false. She was extremely adverse to this marriage, and because of that, she made sure to know every detail about how it would affect her and her house. And that includes how House Frega would be inherited by her future husband. Yeah, so I guess that's true. So by process of elimination, pretty much everybody was left out of the inheritance because Jason, or whatever the hell his name was going to get it all. What was his name? Whoops. Wait, did I go back a step? Did I go back a step in the log? How did I do that? So that raises the question, Loth? No, I guess I didn't. I guess I just clicked. If you already knew the intricate details of this marriage, why would your father tell you that he was disinheriting your sister? Was that his name? Jaden! I was close, not Jason. Jaden von Sanctus. So if you already knew the intricate details, why would your father tell you to disinherit your sister? That statement would only make sense if Beatrice was already in his will beforehand. That would render Miriam's testimony false and constitute a motive for the defendant.
Objection!
Oh yeah? You present a decent argument, Cuthbert, but your claims rely on one assumption. That von Sanctus isn't a lying asshole? And what assumption would that be, Miss Tamora? Even if he was lying, the victim declared that he was revoking Beatrice's inheritance. She must have already been named in the will previously, otherwise there would have been no need for him to say that. Can't we just check his will? Because the new will is apparently missing, another thing that we don't really understand how that fits into the greater puzzle. It hasn't really been submitted as being official. The old will should be left standing. Is Beatrice in it or not? It wouldn't make any sense otherwise. Just look at the damn will. And that's where your assumption is. You're assuming that William Frega was acting logically. What are you talking about? It's clear that William Frega was extremely controlling of his daughters. By your own admission, Lady Frega was resistant to the marriage arranged by her father. In addition to that, a few months ago, Miriam Frega found herself wrapped in controversy regarding the Nightgrave trial. Yep. And finally, to make matters worse, Beatrice Frege, the prodigal child, finally returned and made a public appearance during the Lord's Ball. What are you trying to insinuate? In his eyes, William Frege's ability to keep his daughters in line was clearly weakening. Well, I mean, it's not like Miriam did something wrong during the earlier trial. She just happened to be a passing witness. It wasn't her fault that she got her rapier stolen. He must have gotten desperate and made a grand declaration in a feeble attempt to scare you, Loth. Even if that declaration was clearly inconsistent. But he wouldn't... Your ability to remember must be muddled by the shock of your father's death. Again, who's testifying here? You shut your mouth. His statement couldn't have possibly been true. If by some chance it were true, that would make you guilty of perjury. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, say no more. Or perhaps it was Miriam that was lying in her testimony. Again, this is manipulation, which, under normal circumstances, I'm okay with, but it's not in my best interest for it to be okay now. If your father's statement were true, the court might be inclined to investigate her for lying on the stand. More winking, more nudging. You bitch! I can tell what you're doing! Miss Tamora, are you threatening her again? As I said before, I'm merely stating the facts. The witness is free to act as she sees fit. I am merely lawyering. I'm just asking her to consider the potential consequences of what she says next. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. What do I do? Damn it, Tyrion. Read a book on NLP, quick. Damn it, she's pressuring Loth to side with her. She is. She's clearly conflicted, though. Isn't there anything we can do? Is there anything we can do? Oh, we're gonna eyeball her. We feel a sense of clarity when we look at her. Is Ruby gonna call us out for this? Is she gonna interfere with our eyeball powers in the same way that Psy'Min would send his bird after Apollo when he tried to use his bracelet? What's gonna happen here? Is the Eye of Horus reacting to her stress? I wonder. What? We're just staring at her and she's like, wait, why are you staring at me? Quit that. You're making me anxious. More than I already am. I'm sorry, I need time to think. Please don't stare at me like that, Mr. Cuthbert. Wait a minute. Yeah, exactly. Ruby's like, you hold your goddamn horses right now. Someone get a blindfold for Tyrion, please. No, wait. Yeah, what's gonna happen here? Ruby is clearly not above playing dirty. It's too late. Uh-oh.
Naught can remain concealed.
You can't stop my eyeballs, Ruby. It's eyeball time. I did it. I activated the Empower Eye. Ruby's like, no, like everything is happening in slow motion. She's not having time to interfere. We activated the Empowered Eye. There has to be something in her mind we can use. Is this going to be a fast second half of... I mean, we left off... Well, that wasn't really a halfway point. I don't know. We might be doing this at an early stage. Well, I guess this wouldn't matter because we still have tons to cover. This doesn't really move us very far along in the actual murder at all. This just brings up that, you know, Beatrice might have had a motive. State of her father's inheritance is the backbone of this case. Is there anything in her mind that can definitively prove what was on his will? His will is missing. All right, we know we can just throw things willy-nilly with no penalty. I can't imagine... There might be someone in here. But honestly... Not many of these things are relevant, so let's just throw the few things that are out there and see what fills up. Hey, Loth, I want you to think about, yeah, the inheritance. As much as I hate to admit it, this trial is a perfect opportunity to back out of the arranged marriage. Yep. Why is the text in yellow? I don't remember it being in yellow last time. Von Sanctus's whole... Wait a minute. Oh. Okay. I could be completely out of left field here. Maybe I'm just remembering wrong and the letters were in yellow before and I'm just stupid. I should check that. Nah, I won't check the past streams. But one other thing I forgot to mention that actually might throw a curveball in this entire case. When we were with Beatrice and we saw those thoughts and she admitted to being an accomplice and all those things through the Eye of Horus, Eris was there. And I'm a little suspicious that everything we saw was fed to us by her. That she was actually showing an illusion, putting blame on Beatrice that maybe she actually didn't have anything to do with it, and that this was maybe a Ruby Eris thing, and Eris is just messing with us. Is Eris messing with us now? Is that why the text is yellow? If it was yellow in the past cases, then I'm just an idiot, but I don't feel like it was. I feel like this is new, and I wonder why. But if this doesn't, I mean, if this is not true, then it's not going to work. So I don't think it is, but the fact that it's in yellow. Is Eris in the courtroom? I'm going to need her escorted to preferably another zip code. Just get her away from me. Von Sanctus's holdings are weakening by the day. I doubt he'll be able to put up much resistance. And once Beatrice inherits the estate, we might be able to rebuild our family. She's assuming Beatrice will inherit House Frege. That confidence must mean that she's certain of what was in William's will. That's a good point. But how do we prove that? Do I get half a bar? I get a quarter of a bar. Diggity damn. All right, well, let's just keep throwing out the obvious stuff. No, that's just the same thing. All right, let's throw out what we saw with our magic eyeballs. I need to make sure that I tell the truth without harming Miriam or Beatrice. Beatrice couldn't have possibly done this, and I'm sure Miriam also has her reasons. They couldn't rely on me back then, but they can now. We didn't get any leads from that. We should try something else. Well, no, rats in the vent. There's no way we just jump to something where we reveal that Loth was involved in this. Again, there's so much we have to cover. I mean, but let's just, throw things out. Can I throw people out there? What about Miriam? Why would Miriam say those things? Am I misremembering what happened? No. I would have remembered something like that. She must be trying to protect Beatrice. So Miriam's testimony was a conscious lie. Beatrice's inheritance wasn't revoked until the night of the murder. Okay. What else can we throw out there? You are not relevant. You are not really relevant. Harold? I want to throw Harold out there just to see. What? Why am I thinking? Okay. I didn't think it would, but I was open to some major revelation. Threw that out there. Man, I got a lot. I need 2 more things. I wonder if Harold Haraldson's been wearing these things. Again, I was like, why are these just sitting in a case? Why are these not on someone's ears at all times? Let's see. I'm trying to be intelligent about this, but I'm going to start throwing stuff out in a minute because I'm not too sure what else I could say. What about Lloyd? What do you got to say about him? No? Okay, it's the same comment. That kind of to be expected. What about yourself? No, it's the same thing as before, so kind of also expected. Not going to care about you, not you, not you, not you. Got you. What about you? Father, I know we had our differences, but I did love you, and I never wanted you to die. She seems genuinely surprised and regretful about his death. Okay, so maybe she's not involved. From our encounter earlier, we know that Beatrice had an accomplice, but we doubt that it was Loth. She was on the table, but maybe not. What does that give us? How was that insightful? Alright, let's just throw Beatrice out there. F it. All 4 of them. Beatrice, after all these years, you finally returned. I can't believe that this is how things have ended up. If only I was as strong as you, I'd be able to endure this. We didn't get any leads from that. Alright, fine. We presented herself, Miriam, presented the father, the monkey. I have a feeling there's a surprise somewhere in here. If it's not Harold, it might be Ruby, it might be Eris. Did I present you? Yeah, that was that. What about Ruby? Just for fun. Ruby Tamora. I've heard stories about her. I never expected Beatrice to hire someone like her. I wonder if she'll be at the will reading tomorrow. A will reading? She must be talking about William Frege's will. Yeah, can't we just check it now I know it's not the official will reading, but maybe we could just look at it and be like, oh, look at whose name is in here. Well, that settles things. Yeah, okay. By the way, let's just read the will. Tyrion, come through for me. I believe you've had enough time for deliberation, Mr. Cuthbert. Ruby's going to be like, no! Okay, so you've had time. Man, Ruby just let that happen, huh? Are you able to prove the defendant's motive or not? I'm not, Your Honor. At least not yet. It's clearly we won't get anywhere until we can confirm the state of William Frega's will. Exactly. Although I do wonder if someone took the will that went missing and replaced it. Because that would be big brain and that would completely screw us. And we can easily confirm that tomorrow morning when William Frega's will is read to his family. How did you... I knew I should have spoken up. I see. Once his will is read, it will become public record. I suppose I have no choice but to suspend this trial until such time that William Frega's will is read. Will we now? Is that going to happen?
Objection.
No, Ruby's not going to stand for it. Wait a minute! This is ludicrous. This case against my client is completely outrageous. We spent the entire court proceedings arguing if her motive even exists. The prosecution has very little evidence that physically implicates my client. Read the damn will. Miss Tamora, you clearly don't believe that the defendant had anything to do with the murder. What's that? You clearly don't believe that the defendant had anything to do with the murder? I don't know about that. Of course I don't. She's completely innocent. Well, if your client didn't murder the victim, who did? I did, but ignore that. You sneaky little... Why is that sneaky? Is it because... Oh! Wait. I'm losing track of who's playing what role here. Is Tyrion like, well, I'm the prosecution, so I'm just going to do the prosecution thing and screw you? Your Honor, with no other suspects, are you in a position to pass a verdict? Oh. Yeah, well, I don't know. How did that come up in earlier cases? I can't remember. Like, we have this whole... It's not even innocent until proven guilty. It's like process of elimination. There's no other suspects, so it must be you. But there's no evidence. Yeah, but you're the only one. Because that's always the case, right? Of course, this is what the prosecution always does, and I'm sure Tyrion knows he's full of shit. He's putting a Phoenix-worthy bluff out there. But he's just like, well, no one else could have done this, and that's what Steelwind always says, so, you know, whatever. No, I'm not. Damn it. Mr. Cuthbert is correct. The court does not have enough information to pass a verdict. Until the Inquisition has time to investigate these new developments, I will be suspending today's trial. Okay, that was quick. We will resume the trial tomorrow morning. Court is adjourned. Bam! God, he loves swinging that. Objection? No, okay. Just walk out. Well, that happened. Sorry, I kind of acted without thinking, so now we're just prosecutors. Okay, cool, interesting. But out of everything that happened today, I can't believe that Steelwind somehow knew you would do that. Yeah, I'm a little bit curious as well. That's some incredible clairvoyance on her part. I'm gonna need to visit her in the hospital, maybe bring her a senzu bean. Right, that is strange. Did she seriously predict what I'd do off of that one conversation? I mean, she's sharp. I'm not sure she's that sharp. Considering how things turned out, we suppose she was right on the mark. That was still a big leap of faith. Anyways, we have some time to ourselves. I'd very much like to catch up on some sleep. Yeah, today's been exhausting for a lot of reasons. Ruby's just gonna come in here and be like, dude, what the hell? And our work has only started. We still have no idea who Beatrice's accomplice was. There's only so many people. The will reading was just an opportunity to stall for time. So the question remains, who really murdered William Frega? Oh dear, now we're in the private conversation. What the hell was that? Yeah, Beatrice has got an angry streak. She's not as nice as she usually looks. Why is your son filling in for Arya? Listen, I have the situation under control. Do you now? If that's true, I'd hate to see a situation you consider out of control. Hi, I'm Eris, and I'm totally innocent in this. Teehee. Eris. My father is not pleased with today's developments. Yeah, again, I think there's a big conspiracy going on here. It's not just 2 people, it's like 3. You promised that the verdict would be passed before William Frega's will became public record. That has thrown quite the wrench in our plans. I understand. Damn, she's working for this guy somehow for some reason. Cuthbert is just confused, but he's not a threat to us. We'd better hope you're right, Tamora. Or else your poor ward might suffer the same fate as Prosecutor Steelwind. Yeah, see? Yeah, they knew. What? House Frega is too important of a prize for us to let go. How is this your prize? How are you planning to get in on this? Are you going to marry one of the daughters? Are they going to suddenly decide that they're bi, or you're going to disguise yourself as Jaden, or what? Bring us results, Tamora, or else we'll continue to take more drastic measures. This reminds me of the case where Francesca got shot, and Edgeworth had to step in and take her place, and it was a present from the murderer. Similar situation, a present from Eris and Beatrice. We're just going to slice the prosecution up. Well, I guess Ruby's a little conflicted. I'm not sure how much she's in on this. It could be she's not the murderer, but she's going to have some splaining to do after all this.